Hi everybody, and welcome to the fourth tutorial for our castle reflection piece from Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest book. Just to give you a reminder, this is what we are replicating. You won't be able to see all of it because I'm zoomed in quite far today. And the reason that I'm zoomed in is because, like I said the last time, I want to show you how to replicate the Gryphon, or at least how I've chosen to do him. It's a mixture of pencils and coloured glitter gel pens. So the 5 Prisma pencils that I have out are in dark to light are pumpkin orange, mineral orange, goldenrod, yellow ochre and sand. And they're the colours that we'll use to actually colour the Gryphon. And then what I've done is his tail and his wings I've done in glitter, really, because he's a mythical creature and he deserves a bit of glitter, and who doesn't like a bit of glitter, let's be fair. Now I've got those suite of 5 colours, and I will write them down for you in the description, so don't worry about writing them down as you go. The reason that I've got those 5 colours out is because in my mind he kind of looks a bit like a lion, and those suite of 5 rich kind of burnt ochres and oranges just make a really nice fur colour. But there's a little trick to use in all 5 of them as to how to get them to look quite realistic. And if you've done the Magical Jungle piece, the Okapi, it's quite a similar technique, only on a much, much smaller scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the pencils, because clearly we'll be using the glitter gel pens after that, and I don't want to smudge that, so I'm going to do that bit last. So I'm just going to take my 5 pencils, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with the darkest. I'm going to start with my pumpkin orange. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight where his body and his legs and his feet would be in shade the most, and that would be where the darker colour sits. So all I'm going to do is under his kind of ruff there would be in shade. So my darkest colour, and I'm just block colouring this at the moment, like that. Then his belly underneath would clearly be in shadow. So again, I'm just going to block colour his underbelly so that that's in shade. Then I'm going to colour his back front paw, because that's towards the ground and the back, and again would appear darker. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little, and I'm not going to block colour this at the moment. What I'm going to do is scumble some little tiny circles, and quite lightly. So at the base of his back, where there would be least sunshine, I'm just going to scumble lightly in that darkest shade of pumpkin, and then do again the same along the sole of this back foot, just the back foot. And I'm pressing medium hard because I want to be able to blend this and build it up a little bit. And just again, where, just lightly, coming out from under his ruff, just where it will be in the shade, just medium firm, scumble in that deepest colour, like that. Then I can put that down for a moment. Then what I'm going to do is take my second darkest colour, which is my mineral orange, and I'm just going to build up around this. So I'm going to start at the base of this foot and just gently scumble in that colour there, because again, think about where the light is. The light's going to be coming from above, and even in the dark, in the nighttime, in the sunset, which this piece is going to be, clearly things that are at the bottom or towards the back will be in shade. So this is why we're building up colour from dark to light, so that I can understand where that shadow falls. So again, just over the edge of where we scumbled in that deeper shade, just build yourself up a little line around that darker shade like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this a little way down his back like that. And then where we gently scumbled in that deeper shade, I'm just going to press on and scumble over with this slightly lightly colour. And then what I'm going to do is, because he would have a muscle on his leg here where he's crouching, this part would be lighter, so we need to kind of create the dark effect around that muscle to make it stand out. So again, this second darkest colour, I'm just lightly scumbling in where that shadow would fall to highlight that muscle, like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my goldenrod, which is my mid colour, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to build up, medium firm, just scumbling in. I'm just going to build up that colour there on his leg, and again on his top of his back. Go to the base of his foot and work that up a little bit. Follow around the inside of your previously darker colour, because again we want to leave this bit inside lighter to highlight that muscle. So I'm just working inwards, dark to light, to highlight where that light would hit. So sometimes starting with the shadow can help you understand where you need to place your colour. So I'm going to my second lightest, which is my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to scumble in medium hard, just scumble in that little bit there. I'm just going to leave myself a little gap there where the sun would hit, well, or where the sunset would hit the middle of his back. Gently, gently, just around the inside of this colour. And then you can see where I've left those two white patches, and now I'll go to my lightest colour, which is sand, and press quite hard now over the rest of that area. And you can see that just by using those 5 shades as easily as that, you make him look 3D. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour, because I don't want to put my coloured pencils down yet, because we've got to do his collar, to do his ruff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my darkest again, I'm going to take my pumpkin orange, and where the strands of fur are towards the back and underneath, I'm going to make those the darkest, because clearly they would be sat underneath. So I'm going to do this one as well here, like that. And then the one inside of his mouth, kind of there. Then again, I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take my second darkest, which is my mineral orange, and again, where it's underneath, but not quite as underneath, that strand of fur, I'm going to put in this colour. Just so that you're working your way dark to light, trying to understand how much light would be hitting various parts of him. So I'm going to go to goldenrod. And now we're getting closer to the front, it would be lighter. And I'm saving this one for the lightest colour, because I want it, because that part goes into his face, and I want that to be the lightest. So my second lightest is yellow ochre. So I'm just going to do that strand there in yellow ochre, and this strand here in yellow ochre. And I'm going to take my lightest colour, which is sand, and just block colour in that tiny bit of his face there. And down into that very front tuft of hair, like that. And that is all the colouring we'll need to do, except I want my pumpkin orange. I'm just going to put that little highlight in there, and the rest will be glitter gel pen. I'm going to put my pencil to one side for a moment. So I've got 5 pens with me. I've got a dark silver glitter gel pen, I've got a light silver glitter gel pen, I've got a gold glitter gel pen, and I've got a black fine liner. And I'm going to use the black fine liner first, because very, very simply, I'm just going to highlight those teeth there. Oh, and I might make his nose black actually. A little black shiny nose. And I had actually coloured it on this other one, but I think I prefer black, so I'm just going to put a little black nose on him there. Just make him stand out a bit more. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my deepest silver, my dark silver glitter gel pen, and you don't have to use glitter gel pen if you didn't want to. You could use metallic pencils, but I just think because he's quite mythical, he deserves some glitter. So the darker of the two silvers I'm going to put at the top and at the bottom, just because, again, thinking about light, it's where the least light would fall. So I'm going to do this one, I'm going to do the top two and the bottom two in the darker silver. And I tend to find a good tip with gel pens is try to colour on the very inside edge of the line. Because the gel pen is obviously liquid, if you go too close to that black outline of the design, you'll tend to obliterate the black actual drawing. So if you just kind of go right, keep your pen right to the inside edge, rather than kind of trying to, as you would use a pencil, almost go over that edge. If you just keep your nib inside that, you'll avoid getting that liquid glitter pen over that black line. And then what I'm going to do is, while I've got my darker glitter silver out, I'm just going to colour in his horn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliberately, these segments, I don't really want segments on mine. If you wanted to do different segments of different colour, by all means, but I just want this big horn to be all one colour. So you can see I'm deliberately going over those lines like that. Let me put that dark one down. Now I'm going to go to my lightest silver shade, and I'm just going to quickly do these small horns. Now you may not see on the camera, it may not be picking up the difference between that light and dark silver, because obviously the light is reflecting off that glitter, and it may not seem to you like there's much difference, but for me, looking at it with my own human eyes, there is actually a distinction between those two silvers. So I'm just going to quickly fill these in. And then what I'll do is, I'll do the other two Gryphons which are at the top of the page, but I'll probably turn my page, this will be after the tutorial, I'll probably turn my page upside down, because the Gryphons are upside down and at the top, because they frame the page, they frame the design. So I'll be working with my book upside down to finish those other two off later on. Gold glitter gel pen, all I'm going to do now is finish all the other bits off. So I'm doing the spine of his wing. Like that. Just block colouring, that's all it is. Really, really simple, but it just makes him look magical. So just get that last spine. And I'm being careful to place my hand because I don't want to smudge the silver that's already on there. And then I'm just going to do the top of his head in this block gold colour. And I'm going to finish off by doing this little bit here in gold on his cheek. Then what I'm going to do is we've only got his tail left to do, so I'm going to quickly do the end of his little tail, his little forked tail in that gold. Then I'm going to take my lightest silver and just block colour in the rest of his tail. Now what I want to do is, before we finish for today, I want to show you, it won't be the full sunset because it's a very repetitive process, but I want to start you off on the sunset and then you can take it to its completion. So you will probably recognise the colours that I'm going to be using, because it's, if you've done other tutorials with me, it's a set of colours that I use an awful lot, especially for things like mushrooms. So again, I will write these down for you, but yellow to red is lemon yellow, canary yellow, sunburst yellow, Spanish orange, yellowed orange, orange, pale vermilion, poppy red, permanent red, scarlet lake, crimson red, crimson lake, and pomegranate. And believe it or not, that is all of the colours you will need to create that sunset, which is why it's so vibrant, because there's so many colours involved in it. So let me just check the camera, because I will need to zoom you out a little bit and bring the book down like that. That's great. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my lemon yellow, which is my palest shade. And at this point, what I'm going to do is, because this glitter pen here will still be a little bit wet on the Gryphon, I'm just going to cover that over slightly with just a little bit of normal kitchen roll, just so that I don't smudge it with my hand. And then what I'm going to do is, to start this sunset off, just by eye, all I'm going to do is, with my lemon yellow, is just lightly mark myself out a little semicircle on either side of the castle where I want that sunset to start. And if you wanted to use a 2p piece to get yourself started, or you wanted to use a flexible ruler, however you feel most comfortable doing it is absolutely fine. So again, just lightly marking it out. Obviously the same either side. And we're starting with the lightest, because if you think about the sun going down, the sun is brightest at the horizon where it's disappearing over the horizon line. So your brightest, lightest shades of the sun would be at the bottom, because clearly the sun's going down and would almost be beneath the horizon. So that's why we're starting off in the lightest colours. And all I'm going to do is, over this line, just gently scumble, gently, myself a little marker, like we've done previously in loads of the blending tutorials. And then everything in between just gets a block colour firmer hand. And I'm just being a little bit careful around these blades of grass that I've put in. And again over here, I'll just scumble that marker out that I've made, lightly. And everything, so everything in between, so not over where you gently scumbled, but in between, gets that firmer hand. And then basically through all those colours that I listed, you do exactly the same, building up and up and up and up, just through normal blending techniques. So if I go to my next colour, which is canary yellow, and again, I'm thinking in my mind, I've got roughly, well, how many have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 colours. So I've got to fill this space with 13 colours. So I'm going to be looking at roughly probably a centimetre width in band to fill this amount of paper, this size of gap, with 13 colours. So I'm just going to take my canary yellow, and again, roughly about a centimetre, just follow, and again, I'm doing this by eye, but if you wanted to use a compass or a flexible ruler, please do so. I'm just going to mark myself out the other little arcs, like that, just following the line of the lemon yellow that we've laid down. So, exactly the same principle. Just going to scumble in, gently, over the marker that I've made. This time I'm going to scumble gently over the outer edge of that lemon yellow. And in the same way that we've blended loads of times before, just everything in between gets a firmer hand. And then I go back to my lemon yellow, and then over this join line, press firmly. So it's blending in exactly the same way as you'll have done loads of times before if you've watched any of my other tutorials. And that's how you get a seamless line with these particular pencils. So again, on this side, gently scumble this marker line, gently scumble over the outside of that lemon yellow, and everything in between gets a firmer hand. And what you do is you repeat that exact same process for all of the colours that I mentioned before, in concentrically bigger, wider arcs for the sunset. So by the time you get up to here, you will be on a really wide arc with your deep red colours. And it's as easy as that. It just takes a little bit of patience. And what I would say is the trick with this is getting the blending really good. Because you're covering a wide area and there's nothing to hide behind. So just take your time with it. Just take your time with it and make sure that your blending is spot on. So I'll leave it there for today. As I say, I will finish my sunset in the exact same techniques through all of those colours that I read out to you earlier. And I will finish the 2 Gryphons that are at the top of the page. And then next time, we haven't actually got all that much to do. We've got a little bit of grass background behind the gates, and the leaves I'm going to do in green glitter gel pen, so that could be some prep work. But hopefully it shouldn't be too long before we're finished. So with that, any questions, drop me a line and I shall speak to you soon. Bye for now.